Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to try and make this video as concise and to the point as possible because it is a lot of information, but it's important things that I would like for you all to know. I will go ahead and say right off the gate, a trigger warning for any sort of physical abuse, essay abuse. I'm going to be talking about that from a family member. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. But yeah, just kind of jumping right into it. Well, first, I want to thank everyone who has supported College Curls over all of these years, whether it was the YouTube, the Facebook, the Instagram, the cartoons, whatever the case may be. Thank you. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, I'm Francis, the narrator, the real version of that the little narrator cartoon Francis is made in the likeness of. So just go ahead and jumping right into the reason why I've been so inconsistent over the years. Now, I will preface this by saying this. It's not like I would have perfect consistency with these platforms even without what I was going through, but this has definitely contributed significantly to why I've been so inconsistent, especially with some more recent things having happened. So yeah, I really wanted to sit down and talk about this because, well, for one, it's my life and it's been feeling so inauthentic and insane, honestly, trying to just talk about natural hair and go on like everything's been fine, like I've been trying to do unsuccessfully for the past 5 years. And also because it's an important conversation. Not enough conversations are had about it. And it's been really pressing on my heart and on my mind to speak out about things this time and not remaining quiet. So on February 28th of this year, my dad slapped me twice. The argument began over something small around the house, and led to him slapping me twice and calling me out of my name, a bitch, a whore, a slut, a prostitute, multiple times over a long period of time. Thankfully, my brother was there. I'm 27, my brother's 24, and he was able to stop things from really getting super out of hand, but it was bad. It was bad. And this comes after he tried to have sex with me in 2019. I'm not going to go into too much detail on the ongoing investigation / situation that happened on February 28th, but I will say, like, he slapped me. I have pictures of my injuries that I will put up here. My left eye was really red, and then I had more of like defensive wounds on my wrists and stuff. And the argument began, like I said, over something very household, very trivial. Then it escalated to him calling me out of my name and hitting me. And while he's calling me out of my name, calling me all these things, I am just repeatedly saying to him, how dare you? How could you call me these names when you tried to have sex with me? What is wrong with you? You're weird. You are insane. You are just like, I have no words. And his response was, I did it. And so what? Yeah, God forgives me. I don't care. And I was telling him how I was celibate for like 2 years, celibate for 2 years because of this situation. And you are now calling me all of these names. It was a surreal moment. It just felt so like a slap in my, literally, of course, a slap in my face, but like insult to injury from the incident that happened in 2019 that we are now fighting about, that we've gotten to this fight about because you slapped me and are calling me out of my name in present day. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep my thoughts together. But yeah, it just was so surreal, and just have to hear him say, like, I did it, yeah, so what, and God forgives me, I don't care. And then to go on to say, I tried to get you help, but you were too prideful. You should have went to therapy, but you were too prideful. So I know this is a lot to just be coming up on here and saying, but I know that these are important conversations to have. And um, I'm starting a GoFundMe for the amount of $7,000 because I want help moving out of the house. That's what it's all going towards. So that is going to be application fees, moving out, of course, some with utilities, yeah, with utilities, helping to get a few things for around the place, and then just having a little bit extra for like a month or so. For a couple of months or so. But yeah, that is why I am starting this GoFundMe, because this has been a lot. The incident that happened in 2019, I am going to go into detail because there's now an ongoing investigation about that. So trigger warning before I get started there if you want to skip over this next little bit. I'll try and put my finger up or something when I stop talking about it again if you're like skipping over the part. But I'm about to start talking about it now. So in 2019, it was late at night. I was in my room. I was 22, had been home from college maybe a year because I graduated a year early. My dad comes into my room. He's fully naked. He has on his socks though, and his eyes are bloodshot red, and he has snot coming down out of his nose, like so much to the point where it's like on his chin. And he's I am kind of like, what are you doing? Like, nothing has ever happened between me and my dad before. And mind you, he does have a history of drug use that has caused all of these issues. But because I knew how he had that history of drug usage, I did not immediately respond with anger or anything like that. I didn't know if something was actually going on and maybe he needed help. And in his deliriousness of being on the drugs, he did not clothe himself. So when I was kind of like, what are you doing? He was like, wait, I got to tell you something. So I like waited. And he started then telling me about how he had been having dreams about me for a while, and how he wishes that my mother, which was his wife, this is my biological dad, how he wished that she looked more like me, their relationship would be better, he'd be more attracted to her, how he wished that she was smart like me, and saying a lot of other things, but then asking if I would have sex with him. And I said no, very clearly, very firmly. I was in my bed, which was like one side of the room, and he was at the door. And then when I said no, he took a step towards me, and I screamed. So he then like put his hands up, kind of like, all right, okay, with a little smirk on his face, and kind of like backed out of the room. And closed the door. And when he did that, I immediately got up and locked the door. I heard him go down the steps. 5 minutes later, if that, he comes back up the steps, tries the doorknob again, and it was locked. So then he goes away. So signifying I'm done talking about it. That was in 2019. And after that happened, just to kind of give you guys more of a timeline, because I know you're going to want to know what happened from then to now. After a few days after it happened, I told my mom. She was in just as much shock as me. And after I told her, she looked at me and asked me, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? And me at the time just being in shock, honestly not being able to believe that this happened, wanting everything to go back to normal and be fine, and also me knowing that this happened the same week that he was to be deployed to Saudi Arabia for a year. And so also me having that in mind, I'm like, oh yeah, by the time he gets back, it'll be like it never happened. So I told her not to do anything. And so that is what was not done, or done, not done, nothing happened. And I ended up telling my brother a couple of months later. Also, I was an adult when this happened. Like I said, I was 22. So if something were to be done, I would have had to be the one to actually, file a report and do those things to have something happen. But I did not do anything. I definitely wish I would have. I definitely wish I would have. I wish I would have had more guidance at the time to help me in knowing what to do and to help me kind of like be more strong in making that decision of what to do, because it was my dad. I don't know what to think. I don't know how to handle a situation like that. Um, and just looking back, I feel dumb. I feel dumb for thinking that I could forget it, that things could be fine. Because clearly you don't forget that. You don't just brush that under the rug. You don't just do nothing and try and make sure everything will be fine. But anyway, I told my brother a couple of months after, and I told him not to say it. And this 2020 by this time, because it was late 2019 that he was deployed to Saudi Arabia. And I told him, like, don't say anything. And I remember after I told him, he was like, Francis, I am telling people, period. That is insane. So he told my grandpa, and he confronted my dad about it. And that's when things started being brought more to light. My dad was calling from overseas and saying that he didn't remember and apologizing or whatever. And it was a lot. It was a mess. Like, with my grandpa knowing, and like talking to my mom, and like talking to me, and like, it was a lot. I still did not end up reporting anything. I ended up going and living with my boyfriend at the time for a year. And yeah, so that was like from 2020 until 2021-ish sometime. That time though, it was hard. Like, it was just so many conflicting emotions. Just so much mental gymnastics, y'all. So many conflicting emotions. Like, that time was the hardest time of my life. That time was the hardest time of my life, I can say for sure. Because my dad is overseas. This is during Trump's presidency. I'm still kind of in my head trying to make it seem like things are fine, things are okay. So I'm worried about your life and your safety, because it was like a bunch of crazy stuff going over there at that time, around that time, because of Trump doing stuff. So I'm concerned about him. Then as time goes on, I am just realizing the effect that everything is having on me. Like, it becomes hard for me to even watch regular TV. I'm watching TV one day and I see a wedding dress commercial, probably like David's Bridal, but I see a wedding dress commercial, and it's like a daughter walking down the aisle with her dad. And I will remember this so vividly, that moment of being like, wow, never even considered that. I would not want my dad to walk me down the aisle. I would not want my dad to walk me down the aisle, no matter how much I may have tried to pretend at the time this stuff will be fine. Like, I would want my brothers to do it, and they will be the ones doing it. But it's just stuff like that, having to contend with. I was living with my boyfriend's family, and seeing their dad around, just like seeing other dads in general in life, was just like triggering and just saddening. Not even being able to watch regular TV, like I was saying, like, besides the commercial, regular TV shows where there's a dad. It was hard, and it sucks. And kind of like a little morbid fact, it's actually the reason why I started College Curl Tunes. It was just so hard for me to watch TV at the time, regular TV, that I started watching a lot of cartoons. I was always interested in cartoons, I will say that. I always did like Adult Swim, but I started watching that type of like stuff way, way more. And I became interested in how to make the cartoons because of that. So blessing in disguise, I guess, but that's kind of how that started. During that time, if y'all go back, you'll see it was probably like around 2020, maybe 2021-ish, I want to say, when I got into that, and I loved it and I still do. But that is why, because it was just so hard. It was so hard for me to even just watch regular TV. And with this most recent situation that just happened not even a month ago yet, I'm finding myself experiencing the same thing, going through a lot of the same feelings. Definitely, of course, being reminded and reiterated that this man will have nothing to do with my wedding or my children or anything like that, after trying to tell myself it could be fine and it can be worked through, and feeling like a dummy. But I'm going through that now, of it being hard to watch TV shows with dads and stuff, you know, not the same way that it was when stuff first happened in 2019. But still, and it's sad and it sucks. It sucks a lot. But yeah, so I went and lived with my boyfriend and his family for a year, and we ended up breaking up, and I had moved back home in the beginning of 2022. And maybe a little bit, maybe like end of 2021, beginning of 2022, something like that. But I was home, and then my dad ended up coming back from his deployment. He had already been back for a little bit, or getting back around the same time I did. And he knew about everything, of course. And when he came back, he was rightfully meek, rightfully humble AF. Not really trying to say a whole lot, not trying to do a whole lot. I'm not going to get into a lot of my emotions about the situation, because why were you even in the house? But anyway, I was trying to make it seem like everything was fine. I knew everything wasn't, clearly, by how above and beyond I was going to make it seem like everything was. He had came home late 2021, which would make sense. Or yeah, he came home late 20. He had came home. So yeah, he had came home late in the year, and he had some like other deployments. Like, he has ended up being able to go and be deployed in Asheville for 6 months and Raleigh for 6 months, really honestly, to kind of get himself out the house, because it was tense. It was definitely very tense, rightfully so. And I was going above and beyond, trying to cook these big Thanksgiving meals and Christmas meals and having everything be fine. And I wanted him to like talk to me and it seemed like stuff was normal, but he was just like not talking to me. He was just like shun me out, ice me out, pretty much acting like I didn't exist. And I mean, I just went through a lot during that time. I mean, that's how I don't know how he should have been acting. I'm not going to say that's how he should have been acting. He should have been so sorry, and just shouldn't have even been in this house. Like, I don't know. I'm not here to really try and necessarily make sense of it or justify it, but I'm just kind of laying out the facts of what's going on. And so that was what happened. And so for all of 2022, he was pretty much out of the house. Yeah, because of those deployments and stuff. Yeah, like, I was just at home trying to get my relationship back right with my mom. Because of course I had conflicting feelings and emotions about her. And then it was really in 2023 when we were all up under the same roof this past year together. And it started off all right, like not as meek and humble as he was when he had first returned in 2021. Yeah, he was deployed for Saudi Arabia for a year, and then when he had came back, he had like other stuff. Like, I don't know. Lots of military stuff, but it wasn't really around 2022 when he was like at the house like that. But anyway, he was not, like, when he returned for the full year though in 2023, not as meek and humble as he should have been. Very much like kind of getting back into his old sort of like arrogant, narcissistic sort of self. This was when a little bit before this is when the cocaine usage had really like started getting to a head. Was getting drug tested by the National Guard, and he had tested positive, so they were going to like take away his benefits. So he was trying really hard for the year of 2022 to stay clean. And so I guess, yeah, and that's when he wasn't at the house like that. But he was able to stay clean. But in 2023, things started getting wild. Like, the usage picked back up. He was being a lot more disrespectful and rude around the house. Mind you, growing up, he did treat my mother bad. I do believe that he did not help her self-esteem, her self-worth, her confidence, nothing like that. My mother is more of like a mild-mannered woman, and he made her even more mild, to the point where, to me, it did not appear to be, I mean, it was not healthy, it was toxic. They should have broken up a long time ago, long story short. They stopped sleeping in the same room and stuff like that when I was in like the 7th or 8th grade. I was in middle school, so it was not ever anything that should have been. It should have stopped a while ago. But he was continuing and being even more rude and disrespectful to her, calling her names that we'd never heard him use before. I'd heard him use, calling her stuff like a thought. Where are you picking this up at? How old are you? Like 50 something, calling people a thought? Like, but being just like rude, disrespectful, doing ridiculous things, like trying to have them do marriage counseling over what he did and trying to make it seem like, oh, it was just a little mistake. People act like I can't be forgiven from this. No, nigga, what? Like, what? Huh? No, this is not no little mistake. No, you cannot be forgiven of this. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what too much came of all of that. I just was really trying to spend that time staying focused on me, in survival mode, y'all. Like, I was really in survival mode. And I'm trying not to be so much in survival mode right now. That's why I'm making this video. Because I was really in survival mode. Like, everyone is telling me right now, just be focused on you. Don't think about nobody else or nothing else. And it's just feeling like I'm just constantly in this like space of like trying to get ahead, trying to move past the situation just for something to be happening to me to bring me right back down. Like, if y'all follow me on Instagram, y'all see that I had started getting more consistent with what I was posting and everything. But like, anyway, so yeah, they started like kind of doing that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what that was about. I didn't really ask anything of it because I have had conflicting emotions, like about my mom, about my dad, like about my brothers at a point, but just trying to get through all of this. So I didn't really ask too much about that situation and was trying to just focus on me. But the later in the year, I mean, all of really that year, but definitely the summer of last year, heading into where we are now, like, the usage was bad. Like, watching him literally do deals in front of the house. I don't know if he thinks that I'm naive or what, but I know what is going on, okay? Going up the street to do deals, coming back and smelling stuff, coming out of the room, which is clearly you smoking. He had been smoking in the house pretty much since his return, smoking whatever it was that he was smoking. It was not a smell that I recognized, not a smell that my mother recognized. But it was just so sad and disgusting with my little brother being down there. Like, his room was on the first floor, and the whole first floor would smell like that. As soon as you enter the house, it would smell like that. And just knowing he was down there on the computer, and I'll be telling him, like, dude, you need to not be in this area just smelling this in like that. But like, doing stuff like that. being unable to keep jobs that are related to that directly or indirectly, having our lives, our safety put on the line because he's starting to owe drug dealers some exorbitant amount of money that he's going around asking my mom for. This is Thanksgiving of last year, 2023, that he's asking my mom for. She doesn't have the money. He's getting all pissed at her. So then he goes and asks my grandpa, who gives them the money because he's concerned about our safety. He said he's concerned about the safety of his grandchildren. I did not even know this situation had, one, even happened, or two, was even that extreme. Because like I said, I just be trying to live in my own little world, focus on getting myself out of here. But I found that out. There was some freak car accident that actually happened, I want to say maybe 2 weeks before the situation, 2 or 3 weeks before the situation that occurred on the 28th between me and him. Freak car accident where it's just his car that gets hit. Now, mind you, we live in Charlotte, downtown, not in a crayon box neighborhood, so we parking on the streets. And cars are bumper to bumper, but somehow a driver comes down the street, just hits my dad's truck, backs up, drives away, hits no other cars behind or in front. I mean, my dad's car, because his car is hit, hits other cars, but this driver doesn't hit any other cars on the road, just my dad's. And when he goes like to see the damage and stuff, like everyone else is just like, oh my gosh, how could this have happened? You know, people out on the street, da 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 da. And my dad is just calm, cool as a cucumber. Like, now mind you, he had been going around rage fits on the drugs and off the drugs, didn't matter. Be mad at a dish in the sink, be mad at something on the floor, be mad at the way you looked at him, like anything. But your whole car gets hit and nothing. You don't even, he has no harsh or negative thing to say. All he's doing is just quietly removing his things from his truck, and that's it. I think he said one other thing about it to my little brother, because my little brother didn't know. When it happened, it was just me and him at home. So I had told my mom, of course, and I told my brother, the older one, and then he told my little brother, and my little brother said he was just like, yeah, it was just crazy. Yeah. And that was it. Never said anything else about it. Like, it's just too much weird stuff going on. You have the lives of all of us at risk for real, but I am most concerned about my littlest brother who is underage. But you have all of our lives at risk. You're exposing us to the toxic chemicals of whatever drug that it is that you're smoking, because you want to claim it's not crack and cocaine, even though we had a family meeting when you first returned where you made this big scene of apologizing for everything that you did to me, admitted to us that you were smoking crack and cocaine, had gotten in trouble with the National Guard for it. I don't know. But it's the endangering our lives, the smoking of the drugs, just dealing with someone who is on that substance in general, constantly hacking, constantly sick, constantly irritable, just becoming less and less of the dad that I knew him to be growing up, right before my eyes. And I can talk about it now, and I will get emotional sometimes, but not get as emotional because it's been a long time. Well, it hasn't been a long time. It's going on 5 years since the sexual incident. And like I said, well, I didn't say, but that was when I was going through the hardest part of all of this. Like the stuff that is happening now, like more recently, having to kind of deal with some of those old familiar feelings of kind of like difficult thoughts at times about things that I want to do to myself. Nothing super extreme, nothing like what I was dealing with when things first happened, but still sometimes just like depressive thoughts and like kind of like shock and feeling just like that. If you've been through a significant trauma, but kind of like that alertness that you kind of just have to always be on 10, like kind of like that feeling, even when you're not in danger. I guess that's survival mode. But it just, like, I'm dealing with that now, but I dealt with a lot of the harder mental things before, fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, because I now know how to get myself through the situation a little bit better. That's why I can sit here and make this video. I could not have made this video in 2019. I would have tried to act like it never happened. But this is going on now. And I am raising that GoFundMe again, $7,000 to help me move out the house. And I will be going, yeah, just completely towards that. Also, if there's any like leftover, it will be going towards helping to pay bills that are behind in the house, because when he left, the bills are so far behind, like the gas bill, the light bill, like water, like the mortgage, like all of these things, so far behind. So me and my brother that's of age, and then like my mom, of course, have all been kind of like scrambling to get help with that. But I immediately just wanted to do this GoFundMe to help me move out, because it is hell being in this house. Like, with everything that happened on the 28th, the physical part of things, I was able to get a protective order. So I got that protective order a week ago, and that order prevents him from being able to be at this address. They also ordered him to complete a 16-week in-person incest abuse program, which felt like such a huge major win for me, y'all. Like, it was hard AF getting, like, being in that court and telling my story. Like, and then he's there too, of course, but I mean, I don't know. Him being there for me wasn't necessarily hard or nothing like that, because I mean, I already knew what to expect from him. Like, this stuff in 2019, it happened when it did, and ever since then, our relationship, we have had no relationship. Like, in the beginning few years, I was trying to make it work. It seemed like everything was fine, and then after that, I just started getting angry. Just angry that I didn't do anything. Angry that you're walking around here fine, and I'm having to deal with this on a day-to-day basis. I literally don't have a dad. I literally do not have a dad. Like, I had just started thinking, and I still do, that it would be easier had I not even known you. Had it honestly been, unfortunately, something super duper traumatic that happened to you that was still that still left you in good faith. Like, had you been unalive because of some terrible accident or something like that. But it had to go and be something like this. You can't come back from this, dude. There's no coming back from this. Like, and then the insult to injury from the situation on the 28th, I'm waking up the next day, injuries, just feeling like I was in a fight, of course, but just like in shock. Like, I cannot believe this is my life. So I'm very proud of myself that this time around, I have the protective order in place, that he has to complete that program, and just feeling like I'm doing something. And this video is a part of that. This video is a very big part of that. Yes, it is ultimately to help me raise $7,000 to get out of this house. But at the same time, spreading awareness for this type of thing, because I'm 27 years old. I just turned 27 in December. This situation, when things first happened to me when I was 22. It's been the past 5 years of my life. 5 years of my life, like all of my 20s. And I never would have thought this would have happened. Like, I never thought this would have happened. I never thought this would be my life. Like, like for me, with me and how I try to process it, I look at it like, I don't know, you hear about stuff happening to kids, to people when they're as kids by adults, like crazy stuff. This is something that happened to me when I was grown, and I still didn't know what to do. And I'd just be mad at myself for not doing nothing, for not knowing what to do, for trying to look to other people to help me and just not figuring it out for myself. I get mad at myself for that. I get mad at myself for being at this age and still not having it to be able to move out. I get mad at how I lost focus for those years, and that I couldn't just push through. That I tried to spend more time making things at home a happy place. Trying to make things back the way that they were. So that's why I felt like it was really important for me to say too, because I know if something like this can happen to me at my age, then I know like the same thing is happening to other people. And like I said, I have the platform, I have an audience, and I just really wanted to share that because it's not easy. I have started therapy. I actually had my first therapy session today. And it was a lot harder than I expected. Honestly, I have not cried a lot over this past month. What I've been telling everybody is this stuff that happened most recently was very physical. I was a little beat up. I had some bruises, messed up eye. My first fight that I ever been in, y'all. So this was very physical, but I went through all of the harder mental things before. Like, that's what I was telling my therapist today when she was kind of like, it was the first session, so it was like intake, and she was asking me like, oh, so how do you feel when it comes to certain thoughts about wanting to hurt yourself or depression, or like basically what are your feelings, that type of thing. I was telling her like, honestly, girl, I'm not sure what stage of trauma this is, but I definitely went through all of the hard mental stuff before, like feeling like I didn't have a dad, like the relationship was over. Honestly, kind of getting to the point. I mean, my relationship with both of my parents have changed, so having to deal with that. And then just, I don't know, just dealing with all of the heaviness of the situation. I dealt with all the hard stuff for that years ago. If you would have asked me back then, I would have said that like all of that depression, all of that stuff, 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10, if not more. But now I feel like I'm cruising on a solid like 3, 4 out of 10 for most things. Dealing with all of the court stuff has been hard. It was emotional a little in court, having to say what I had to say in front of him, and then seeing him be no sort of remorseful or anything, which I didn't expect. I know my dad, so I didn't expect it. I mean, yeah, that's why I've been inconsistent. If you are going through something like this, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I'm really sorry. Because I know that it's hard. Especially if you're keeping quiet about it. I know that it's hard. And I want to encourage you to please speak up. Please say something. Please. To somebody. If you don't feel like you can trust a parent, if you don't think a parent will help you, then go to a police station, go to another trusted adult. Shoot, you can message me and I can tell you about the steps that I did to get to like where I'm at right now. Granted, I'm still here, like in this hell. I'm still struggling. I'm still trying to get out of this house, doing what I can, trying to stay focused, trying to have more positive ways of coping this time around. Because I did get very heavily into drinking, very heavily into smoking. Like, even with this situation that happened most recently, I found myself starting to drink a whole lot again, starting to smoke a whole lot again. That's why I'm like, I need to get my story out. I need to help people. And if you're going through something like this, please say something to somebody. Please get help. Please get help from a trusted individual. I was very lucky and very grateful to have a strong support system behind me. Even the police officer who responded to the call on the 28th was like very helpful. Funnily enough, he had actually been deployed with my dad to Saudi Arabia. So he already had some knowledge on his drug usage and everything. But it's a hard time. It's a hard time for me right now. Like, I know I'm smiling. I've had a couple tears here and there, but it's a hard time. And I'm currently on a 2-week leave of absence from my full-time job because it was just, I'm a registered behavior technician and I work with those kids, one kid at a time, one-on-one, but it was very mentally demanding. And for my mental state to already just be everywhere but on work, I had to take a little leave. I should have took the leave immediately after everything happened, but I had tried to push myself and go back to work and pretend like everything, not pretend like everything was fine, but just go to work to get my mind off of things and stuff. But I'm on a 2-week leave of absence from my job. I will return on the 1st. But that's what I'm dealing with. That's what I'm going through. And I've been trying to find it in me to keep making content and to keep going, and I'm still trying, y'all. Like, I do not want to get in that same place that I was before, because I saw something good. I saw something good starting to come out of me. I saw me returning to a good place again this past year, because I knew I was about to get out, and then it just seemed like, I swear, the devil be knowing, boy. He be busy and he be knowing. Like, when you get in that place, when you're finally starting to find your light again, and it's crazy how he tried to use the same person who brought me down before to bring me down again. But nah, you have to do better than that, buddy. You have to do better than that. So I'm all right. I have my days. I have my up days. I have my down days. It has not been a consistent string of down days like it was in 2019 for a very, very, very long time. That was definitely the hardest time of my life for sure. I had recently described it to one of my good friends as how I felt like I had been underwater and just drowning and just sinking for so many years. And it wasn't really until 2023 that I was starting to feel like that my head was above water a little bit, because I had started like seeing myself making more progress with my goals and not just being so down and out and kind of like unfocused with focused spurts here and there. It was 2023 where I started feeling like my head was kind of getting above water. And then when this whole situation happened, it felt like somebody trying to dunk me down again. But my head's still immediately bobbing back up kind of after, like, and you know how when you've been under the water, you coming out for being under, your head may still go down and up. You're like gasping for air. That's kind of where I'm at right now. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I've been saying, thankfully, the hardest has been gotten through mentally. At least I think so for me. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means I just pushed a whole lot of stuff to the back of my head. I don't know if that means I'm not dealing with a lot of things. I'm sure it does. But as far as getting through day to day, this is where I'm at. So I'm raising this GoFundMe to help me move out. Please, anything that you can give, I will be extraordinarily grateful, even if the goal is not reached. If you don't have anything monetarily to give, if you could leave a supportive, kind word, that would mean just as much. If you could share this story, share the GoFundMe, bring awareness to it. And if nothing else, if you could just kind of stay tuned for the content that I will be creating after this, especially if this is the first video of mine that you're seeing. I'm sorry this is your introduction to my content. I promise it isn't normally like this. We have a good time over here. So, I had to be honest about that. That's been weighing on me. It's really been weighing. And I think that was everything I wanted to talk about. I will be having updates about this in the future. You all can expect to see kind of more content relating to like self-healing in a way. Like if I'm doing like hair video, maybe like a short style video where I'm like doing my hair and kind of like talking about more of like self-care, like healing and stuff in the background. Just stuff like that. But thank you. Thank y'all for listening. We're at 42 minutes. Anything you could do to help. It's been a lot. So, thank you.